The cold morning light crept through the dusty windows of the small, worn-out house in Millbrook. Emily Thompson stood by the kitchen sink, her hands red and chapped from early morning work at the local bakery. She was just 17, but her eyes held the weariness of someone much older. Her father, Harold, sat at the kitchen table, his shoulders hunched with worry. Since her mother's passing 2 years ago, everything had changed. The medical bills had eaten through their savings, and the factory where Harold worked was making constant cuts. Emily could see the defeat in his eyes. A man who once stood tall now seemed beaten by life's relentless challenges. Every morning began the same way. Emily would wake up at 4:30, carefully prepare a simple breakfast of toast and weak tea, make sure her father had clean clothes, and then rush to her early shift at Miller's bakery. The owner, Mr. Miller, wasn't kind, but he paid her just enough to help keep their small home running. After her morning bakery shift, Emily would hurry to school, her uniform slightly worn, her shoes showing signs of multiple repairs. She was an excellent student, top of her class, but the dream of university seemed like a distant fantasy. Books were her escape. During lunch breaks, she would read scholarship application forms, hoping for a miracle. The town of Millbrook was dying. Once a thriving industrial community, it now struggled with closed factories and limited opportunities. Young people were leaving, searching for better prospects in bigger cities. But Emily was different. She loved her town and believed she could make a difference. Her school counselor, Mrs. Roberts, saw something special in Emily. During a quiet moment after class, she pulled Emily aside. "You're different," she said softly. "Most kids here have given up, but you still have fire in your eyes." Emily's days were a constant balancing act. After school, she would rush to her evening job at the local convenience store. The store manager, Mr. Thompson, no relation, appreciated her hard work and reliability. She would stock shelves, manage the cash register, and help customers with a smile that never showed her inner exhaustion. At home, she would help her father with household chores, cook dinner, and then spend late hours studying. Her bedroom was small, with a single desk near a window. Scholarship application forms were spread everywhere, each one representing a potential pathway to a better future. Her father tried to help, but his recent job loss made things more challenging. Harold had worked at the same factory for 25 years, and being let go had broken something inside him. Emily became the strength of their small family, refusing to let their circumstances define their future. Winter was the hardest. Heating. Bills were expensive, and they often had to choose between warmth and food. Emily would wear multiple layers, carefully rationing their resources. She learned to make simple, filling meals that could stretch their limited budget. Despite everything, Emily never complained. She understood the value of hard work and hope. Her mother had taught her that challenges were just opportunities in disguise. Those words became her daily mantra, pushing her forward when giving up seemed easier. Her classmates knew little of her struggles. They saw a smart, determined girl who always seemed put together. Few understood the early mornings, the late nights, the constant worry about paying bills and keeping their small home. One particularly cold morning, as Emily prepared to leave for her bakery shift, her father looked at her with a mixture of pride and sadness. "You shouldn't have to carry so much," he said, his voice breaking slightly. Emily smiled, kissed her father's cheek, and replied, "We carry what we must, Dad, and I'm strong enough." As she walked through the quiet streets of Millbrook, the first rays of sunlight catching her determined face, Emily didn't know exactly how her life would change. But she knew one thing: she would never give up. Her story was just beginning, a testament to the power of hope, hard work, and unwavering determination. The end winter arrived in Millbrook with a vengeance, bringing more than just cold winds. Harold Thompson's world came crashing down when the factory's closure notice arrived. 25 years of loyal service ended with a short letter and a meager severance package that wouldn't cover their mounting bills. Emily watched her father's spirit slowly crumble. The man who once stood tall now seemed smaller, older. His hands, once strong and steady, now shook when he tried to read the job rejection letters. Each envelope was another blow to his pride, another crack in their fragile hope. The bakery reduced Emily's hours, sensing the economic downturn. Mr. Miller explained it coldly. "Times are tough, kid. We can't keep everyone." Her evening shifts at the convenience store became her lifeline, but the pay was barely enough to keep food on the table. Their heating struggled against the brutal winter. Some nights Emily would find her father sitting close to their old electric heater, wearing multiple layers, his eyes distant. She would make simple soup, stretching their limited ingredients, ensuring he ate something warm. School became both a blessing and a challenge. Her scholarship application for the local university was rejected. The financial aid office explained that despite her excellent grades, their limited funds couldn't support her. Emily felt the weight of disappointment, but refused to let it break her spirit. Unexpected expenses mounted. Their old car needed repairs, the roof had a persistent leak, and medical bills from her mother's previous treatment still haunted them. Harold's health insurance had stopped with his job, leaving them vulnerable. One particularly difficult week, Emily discovered their electricity might be cut off. The bill sat on the kitchen table, like a silent threat. She spent hours calling different agencies, explaining their situation, trying to find any possible assistance. Her school counselor, Mrs. Roberts, became an unexpected ally. She helped Emily find small scholarship opportunities, community grants, and part-time job listings. "You're not alone," she would remind Emily, offering more than just professional advice. The convenience store manager, Mr. Thompson, noticed Emily's struggle. He offered her additional shifts and sometimes slipped her extra hours when he could. "You're one of the good ones," he would say, understanding the weight she carried. Emily's classmates remained mostly unaware of her challenges. They saw a girl who always looked put together, who continued to excel in her studies despite everything. What they didn't see were the early mornings, the late nights, the constant worry that pressed against her young shoulders. Harold tried to help, but his depression made it difficult. Some days he would sit for hours, lost in memories of better times. Emily would gently encourage him, finding odd jobs he could do, helping him maintain some sense of purpose. Their community of Millbrook felt the economic squeeze. Factories closed, businesses struggled, and hope became a rare commodity. But Emily refused to be another statistic. She began researching alternative education paths, online courses, and community college options. Her nights were spent creating spreadsheets of their expenses, finding ways to cut costs. She learned to repair clothes, cook using the cheapest ingredients, and negotiate with service providers. Every dollar saved was a small victory. The local library became her sanctuary. Free internet, warm space, and endless resources helped her. Research opportunities. She spent hours looking for scholarships, job training programs, and any potential pathway forward. Her determination caught the attention of unexpected people. Mrs. Roberts recommended her for a local entrepreneurship competition, seeing something special in Emily's resilience. It was a small glimmer of hope in their increasingly challenging world. As winter pressed on, Emily realized that survival wasn't just about money. It was about maintaining hope, supporting her father, and believing that their situation was temporary. She would often tell her father, "This is just a chapter, not our entire story." Her mother's old photo watched from the mantelpiece, a silent reminder of the strength that ran in their family. Emily would sometimes look at the picture, drawing courage from her mother's remembered smile. The challenges seemed overwhelming, but Emily Thompson was not one to give up. She was learning that true strength wasn't about avoiding difficulties, but about facing them with courage and hope. Her journey was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The end. The community center bulletin board had always been a place of lost hopes and forgotten opportunities. But on that crisp February morning, something different caught Emily Thompson's eye. A bright yellow poster announced a local entrepreneurship competition for young innovators, offering a substantial scholarship and seed funding. Emily's fingers traced the details carefully. The competition challenged participants to develop a business plan that could solve a real community problem. Her mind raced with possibilities, remembering the struggles her own family had faced. She remembered the countless mornings when affordable, quick meals seemed impossible. The long shifts her father worked, the limited time for cooking, the expensive takeout that many working families relied on. An idea began to take shape, a mobile bakery service that could bring affordable, nutritious meals to working families. Late that night, while her father slept, Emily began drafting her business plan. The kitchen table became her office, covered with rough sketches, cost calculations, and passionate notes. She researched mobile food services, local dietary needs, and potential delivery routes. Her plan was more than just a business idea. It was a solution to multiple community challenges: affordable meals for working families, support for local farmers, and a flexible service that could reach areas traditional restaurants couldn't. Mrs. Roberts, her school counselor, became her unexpected mentor. During lunch breaks and after school, she helped Emily refine her proposal. "You're thinking differently," she would say, her eyes bright with excitement. "This isn't just a business. It's a community solution." The competition required a detailed presentation. Emily spent weeks preparing, practicing her pitch in front of her father, who would listen with growing pride. Harold, despite his recent struggles, became her most honest critic and strongest supporter. Local business owners she knew became unexpected resources. Mr. Miller from the bakery shared insights about food preparation. The convenience store manager provided information about community needs. Each conversation added depth to her plan. Emily's mobile bakery concept was simple yet innovative. A converted van would serve fresh, affordable meals to working families, local factories, and community centers. She calculated costs that would make meals cheaper than takeout, but more nutritious than fast food. The night before the presentation, Emily barely slept. Her notes were memorized, her presentation slides carefully prepared. She knew this was more than a competition. It was a potential lifeline for her family and her community. The competition day arrived with nerve-wracking anticipation. Emily wore her mother's old blazer, carefully mended and pressed. It felt like carrying a piece of her mother's strength with her. The community center was filled with other young entrepreneurs, each presenting their ideas. When Emily's turn came, she spoke with a clarity that surprised the judges. She wasn't just presenting a business plan, she was sharing a vision of community support. Her personal story of struggle became part of her pitch, making her presentation deeply authentic. The judges asked tough questions. They challenged her financial projections, her delivery model, her understanding of business operations. But Emily remained calm, answering each question with research-backed confidence. Her father waited outside, nervously fidgeting. When Emily emerged, her expression was unreadable. Hours felt like days as they waited for the results. The announcement came late that evening. Emily's mobile bakery concept had won first place. The scholarship would cover her education costs, and the seed funding would help start her business. More than money, she had won validation of her vision. Harold's reaction was priceless. Tears of pride mixed with disbelief. "Your mother would have been so proud," he whispered, hugging Emily tightly. The local newspaper ran a story about the young entrepreneur who was bringing hope to Millbrook. Emily's journey from struggling student to potential business owner became an inspiration for other young people in the community. Her turning point wasn't just about winning a competition. It was about proving that with determination, creativity, and hard work, ordinary people could create extraordinary change. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in years, Emily felt something she had almost forgotten: hope. The end. The first month of Emily's mobile bakery was nothing short of a miracle. Her converted van, painted bright blue with cheerful yellow accents, became a familiar sight across Millbrook. What started as a scholarship project quickly transformed into a lifeline for many working families. Harold watched his daughter with growing pride. The man who had been defeated by job loss now stood taller, helping Emily with deliveries and preparations. Their small kitchen became a bustling workspace, filled with the warm smell of fresh bread and pastries. Emily's business model was simple but revolutionary. She prepared affordable meal packages that could be quickly heated, packed, with nutritional value, and priced lower than most takeout options. Factory workers, busy parents, and elderly residents became her most loyal customers. Local businesses began to take notice. The factory where Harold once worked started ordering weekly meal packages for their workers. The convenience store manager became her first major bulk customer, recommending her service to other local businesses. Each morning began early. Emily would wake before dawn, preparing fresh bread, preparing meal packages, and planning her delivery routes. Her father helped with packaging and accounting, finding new purpose in supporting her dream. The competition judges who had initially believed in her now became her mentors. They connected her with local business networks, provided additional guidance, and helped her navigate the challenges of entrepreneurship. Word spread quickly. What started as a local service began attracting attention from neighboring towns. Emily's commitment to affordable, nutritious meals resonated with people struggling with rising food costs and limited time. Her school counselor, Mrs. Roberts, became her biggest advocate. She helped Emily navigate business regulations, connected her with local resources, and continued to provide emotional support. "You're not just selling food," she would tell Emily, "you're solving a community problem." Financial challenges remained, but Emily was strategic. She reinvested her profits, slowly expanding her equipment and delivery range. Her mobile bakery became more than a business. It was a symbol of hope for Millbrook. Local farmers became her suppliers, creating a network of community support. She prioritized local ingredients, supporting the agricultural community while keeping her costs manageable. Each meal told a story of local resilience and connection. Harold's transformation was perhaps the most remarkable. The man who had been defeated by job loss now helped manage accounts, assisted with deliveries, and found renewed purpose. Emily's success had healing power beyond financial stability. Unexpected challenges came. Equipment breakdowns, rising ingredient costs, and logistical difficulties tested her resolve. But Emily approached each problem with the same determination that had brought her this far. The local newspaper did a follow-up story, highlighting how a young entrepreneur was bringing hope to a struggling community. Emily became an inspiration for other young people in Millbrook, proving that creativity and hard work could create meaningful change. Her mobile bakery created jobs for other struggling young people. She began hiring part-time workers, providing flexible employment opportunities that understood the challenges of balancing work and education. Some days were harder than others. Emily would return home exhausted, her hands rough from cooking and driving. But the joy of her customers, the gratitude of families she served, made every challenge worthwhile. The business wasn't just about making money, it was about creating a support system for a community that had been struggling. Each meal delivered was a message of hope, of community resilience. Local schools began inviting Emily to speak about entrepreneurship. She shared her story honestly, the struggles, the challenges, the moments of doubt. Her vulnerability inspired other young people to believe in their dreams. Harold watched his daughter with a mixture of pride and amazement. The girl who had once worried about paying electricity bills was now creating opportunities for others. Her mother's spirit seemed to live on through her determination. As the first year of her mobile bakery came to a close, Emily realized she had done more than start a business. She had created a community support system, given hope to her family, and proved that ordinary people could create extraordinary change. The blue van continued to drive through Millbrook streets, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of believing in oneself. The end 5 years had passed since Emily Thompson first converted that old van into her mobile bakery. What began as a small community project had grown into a thriving business that transformed Millbrook's economic landscape. The blue van was now part of a small fleet. 3 additional vehicles served different parts of the region, each managed by young entrepreneurs Emily had personally trained. Her business had become more than a bakery. It was a training ground for local youth seeking opportunities. Harold, once defeated by job loss, now worked as the company's chief operations manager. His experience and wisdom became the backbone of their growing enterprise. The transformation in his spirit was remarkable. A man who had lost hope now radiated pride and purpose. Emily's mobile bakery had expanded beyond meal delivery. She created a comprehensive training program for young entrepreneurs, partnering with local schools and community centers. Her workshops taught business skills, financial planning, and community engagement to struggling young people. The business model evolved. They now supplied meals to local schools, hospitals, and community centers. Each meal was carefully designed to be nutritious, affordable, and supporting local farmers. Emily had created an ecosystem of support that went far beyond simple food delivery. Local banks that once rejected her now sought her advice on supporting small businesses. Emily became a respected voice in community economic development, speaking at conferences and mentoring other young entrepreneurs. Her scholarship from the initial competition had allowed her to complete her business degree. But her real education came from the streets of Millbrook, from the people she served, from the challenges she overcame. The company now employed over 20 local workers, providing flexible jobs with fair wages and training opportunities. Many were young people who, like Emily, needed a chance to prove themselves. Mrs. Roberts, her old school counselor, had retired but remained a close advisor. She would often visit the company's small office, watching with tears in her eyes how Emily had transformed her initial dream into a community movement. Emily's approach to business was different. Profit mattered, but community impact mattered more. She implemented profit-sharing programs, healthcare support for employees, and educational assistance for workers pursuing further studies. The local newspaper that had first covered her story now featured her as a community leader. "From struggle to success" was the headline that celebrated her journey. Emily remained humble, always redirecting praise to her community and family. Her mobile bakery had become a model for social entrepreneurship. Universities studied her business approach, highlighting how compassion and business could work together. Emily was invited to speak at national conferences, sharing her story of resilience. Harold's health had improved dramatically. The purpose of supporting his daughter's dream, of being part of something larger than himself, had given him new life. His transformation was a testament to the power of hope and family support. The business continued to innovate. They introduced digital ordering, expanded their menu to include dietary-specific meals, and created partnerships with local health organizations. Each step was carefully considered, always keeping community needs at the center. Emily never forgot the struggles that shaped her journey. A portion of the company's profits went into a scholarship fund for local students facing similar challenges. She understood that success was about lifting others, not just individual achievement. Her mother's photograph still watched over their office, a constant reminder of where they had come from. Emily would often tell new employees about her mother's strength, about the power of resilience and hope. Millbrook had changed. What was once a dying industrial town now showed signs of economic revival. Emily's business had become a catalyst, proving that local solutions could create meaningful change. The blue van that started it all was preserved in their office, a symbol of where their journey began. New employees would touch it for luck, understanding the power of a dream born from struggle. As Emily looked out over the small office, watching her team work, she realized her journey was about more than business. It was about proving that with determination, creativity, and compassion, ordinary people could create extraordinary change. Her father's hand on her shoulder reminded her of how far they had come. From struggling to pay electricity bills to building a community-transforming business, their story was a testament to hope. The journey was far from over, but for Emily Thompson, the future looked brighter than ever. The end.